Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanishalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. In this session, we will be discussing from the 28th and 29th verses of the 15th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The 28th verse is as follows. Suta Vacha. Now Suta Goswami is narrating this entire incident to the sages of Naimisharanya. Now he is speaking. Evam Chintayato Jishno Krishnapada Saroruham Sauhardena Atigadhena Shantasid Vimala Matihi. The meaning of this verse is, Suta Goswami said, thus being deeply absorbed in thinking of the instructions of the Lord, which were imparted in the great intimacy of friendship, and in thinking of his lotus feet, Arjuna's mind became pacified and free from all material contamination. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, since the Lord is absolute, deep meditation upon him is as good as yogic trance. The highest perfection of Ashtanga Yoga is Samadhi, total absorption in meditation on the Lord. And simply a devotee deeply thinks about the Supreme Lord, Krishna, he is immediately in Samadhi. See the difference between Bhakti and Ashtanga Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. The Lord is non-different from his name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage and specific actions. Arjuna began to think of the Lord's instructions to him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He just began to think, what is it that Krishna told me when I was confused and I was searching for a answer to what is my duty under the circumstances when I am facing my own near and dear ones as the enemy on the opposite side. I have to kill them, my respectable superiors, my dear relatives. How can I kill them? So this duty, he was confused about his duty, and he asked Krishna to instruct him. Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. So now Arjuna is beginning to think of those instructions after Krishna's disappearance, when he's feeling that separation from Krishna. Now he's thinking of those instructions. Now Srila Prabhupada says, only those instructions which Krishna gave on the battlefield of Kurukshetra began to eliminate the tinges of material contamination in the mind of Arjuna. How does it work? Srila Prabhupada says, the Lord is like the sun. The sun's appearance means immediate dissipation of darkness or ignorance. And the Lord's appearance within the mind of the devotee can at once drive away the miserable material effects. This is a good instruction for us. Whenever we feel that there is some ignorance or some darkness or some confusion or some lack of direction, simply we have to remember the Lord, remember the Lord's name, remember the Lord's form, remember the Lord's qualities, remember the Lord's instructions in the Bhagavad Gita, remember the Lord's pastimes described in the Bhagavatam. And immediately the darkness will be dissipated. Lord Chaitanya has therefore recommended constant chanting of the name of the Lord for protection from all contamination of the material world. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Namaiva Kevala. This is a recommendation of Lord Chaitanya. Kalau nastyeva, nastyeva, nastyeva gatiranyata. In Kali Yuga there is no other remedy, only one remedy, constant chanting of the holy name, form, qualities, pastimes, etc. of the Supreme Lord Krishna. The feeling of separation from the Lord is undoubtedly painful to the devotee, but because it is in connection with the Lord, it has a specific transcendental effect which pacifies the heart. The feeling of separation from Krishna is actually soothing for the heart, even though it is actually a kind of painful situation for a devotee. But even that has got a spiritual effect of pacifying soothing the heart. Feelings of separation are also transcendental bliss. Feelings of separation are also sources of transcendental bliss for a devotee. Of course, when he is in association with the Lord, he is very, very happy, very pleased. It's blissful. But feeling of separation is also a source of transcendental bliss of a different kind. And they are never comparable to contaminated material feelings of separation. In this material world, we also sometimes feel that there is some person who's our near and dear one. When we are separated from them, we feel the pain of separation. But what pain of separation Arjuna is feeling now after separation from Krishna, after Krishna's disappearance from this material world, is not the same as our material feelings of separation from some material relationship. They are not the same. In this material world, when there is separation, we feel pain and we lament about it. But in the spiritual atmosphere, in the spiritual dimension of existence, separation from the Lord is a source of transcendental bliss of a different kind. It's a variety of bliss. 29th verse. Vasudeva Angri Anudhyana Paribrahmhita Ramhasa Bhaktya Nirmathita Shesha Kashaya Dishano Arjunaha. The meaning of this verse is, Arjuna's constant remembrance of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna rapidly increased his devotion, and as a result, all the trash in his thoughts subsided. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, material desires in the mind are the trash of material contamination. If we have material desires in our mind, they are nothing but garbage which is somehow sitting in our heart or consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada explains, by such contamination, the living being is faced with so many compatible and incompatible things. Different kinds of material desires bring about different kinds of compatible and incompatible things that discourage the very existence of spiritual identity. Our spiritual identity is, we are eternally meant to serve Krishna lovingly. In such service, there is no distress, there is no suffering, there is no pain, there is no ignorance, there is no illusion, there is no misery, None of those things. But when there is material desire in the heart, then there is so much of incompatible and compatible feelings, and that those are opposed to our spiritual identity. They are opposed to devotional service. Birth after birth, the conditioned soul is entrapped with so many pleasing and displeasing elements. Ichha dvesha, samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. We are born always with some likes and dislikes, and they are always confusing for us, because whole life in a particular body, we are simply chasing something which we think we like, and we are trying to avoid something which we dislike. But in this material world, there is nothing to like or dislike. Everything is simply a source of misery. Dukkhalayam, ashashvatam. So there is nothing to really aspire for. There is nothing which we think if we avoid we'll be happy. No, this material existence is not meant for us at all. We are meant for spiritual life in association with Krishna, in devotional service to Him, and that is total bliss. There is nothing compatible or incompatible in that spiritual existence. So all these pleasing and displeasing elements in material existence are false and temporary. They accumulate due to our reactions to material desires. How do they get accumulated? Because of the reactions of the material desires. But when we get in touch with the transcendental Lord in His variegated energies by devotional service, His spiritual energy, devotional service is always under the protection of the devotional energy, spiritual energy. Then when we touch Hare Krishna, when I say Hare Krishna, I am touching the transcendental sound, spiritual sound of Krishna's name. And by that, what happens? The naked forms of all material desires become manifest. I can clearly see the nature of these material desires which are there in the heart. And the intelligence of the living being is pacified in its true color. The intelligence will begin working. Vyavasayatmika buddhi. It will reveal to us, don't chase these material desires, they are all worthless. Don't chase these material desires. As soon as Arjuna turned his attention towards the instructions of the Lord as they are inculcated in the Bhagavad Gita, his true color of eternal association with the Lord became manifest. Arjuna began to feel the effect of associating with the Lord even through His instructions, transcendental instructions in the Bhagavad Gita, in the form of Bhagavad Gita. And thus he felt freed from all material contaminations. Immediately, all material contamination is dissipated. It is cleansed away. Instantaneous cleansing. It's exactly like you are sitting in abject darkness. Somebody brings in a tiny spark of light. Immediately darkness dispels. Immediately. So like that, even any one instruction of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita you remember, immediately all your confusion, your ignorance, your illusion, your likes, dislikes, material likes and dislikes, everything will be dissipated, and you simply become situated in transcendence, beyond all material illusion, beyond material duality, beyond material confusion, everything beyond matter. That is spiritual existence. I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.